Awesome. Hi, everyone. We have a new guest with us today. Please meet Claudette Jones. Hi, Claudette. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very glad that you've introduced me today. I really appreciate that time.
Thank you so much for joining in. Please allow me to give a short introduction of yours. So, Claudette is the founder of Florals of Splendour. She's an event stylist specializing in artificial and dry florals and balloons and props. She's based in London, UK, and she's the member of BNI Unite. She's also an event coordinator, venue style, and is also in venue styling and decorating. So yeah, thank you so much for joining in today, Claudette.
Thank you.
Great. So why don't we start with your 60 seconds? Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your business.
Okay. Well, as you introduced me, my name's Claudette Jones from Florals of Splendour, and I belong to BNI Unite, and they're based in Upminster. I'm a sustainable venue stylist, decorator, and coordinator, and I'm dedicated to bringing your creative vision alive whilst making unforgettable experiences for your special event. And I'm always looking for event planners, people in the event industry, wedding planners, where I can work alongside them so that I can help with making their dream vision from their customers or clients alive. So I will work alongside to creating centerpieces, backdrops, and anything in between. The reason why I like this is that I like to transform a whole venue and make it into a whimsical, a theme and make it their dreams come alive. So I like to go above so that they can do what they love. Thank you.
Super. Awesome. Great. So, Claudette, why don't you please tell us a little bit about your journey into this business, right? You initially also mentioned right before this call that you were also into organizing events, right? And then you've now narrowed it down to florals, right? So please tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
Yeah, okay. So if I go back even a little bit more, I actually had a catering company that we set up with my mum, and I did that for about 13 years. The business ran for about 6 with my mum. My mum got tired. I carried on. So I've been in that wedding industry and the events industry from 2000. And we used to work with the council, the local council, and do lots of events, park events. We did the carnivals, we did Glastonbury, we did lots of weddings, and my mum would do the cooking and I will make her food look nice by organizing staff, dressing the venues, setting up and running the receptions for brides and events. And then I moved on. I left there, went back just to have a rest, really, came back in, and I thought, it's so physical, catering and doing those events. I didn't want to go back in that capacity. So what I did, I thought I will just organize events. So I started off organizing events as a manager, did a lot of that. But then what I find is that it's so admin heavy, so sort of where you're behind the scenes. And I wanted to actually create, because I'm actually a creative individual. So then I narrowed it down. As I did it, I found the bits that I really like was doing all the frilly bits, like the flowers, like the balloons, like the props, and making and transforming a venue. So from a plain hall into something really whimsical and a dream. And I love that. And seeing my brides or my clients' face come alive when they walk in, it's priceless.
Super, super. I believe that's quite inspiring also. What I would also love to know is what your creative process is when, let's say, some client comes in and gives you a brief. First of all, tell us a little bit also about what kind of events you do, and then let's say some kind of event someone comes up with and gives you some kind of brief. How is your process? What do you do after that? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay, so we can start from flowers. So I do a lot of bridal flowers. So they will come with their ideas, what color. Generally, they don't always mention flowers because usually it's either roses or peonies, but they generally will have a color scheme and ideas of what shape. And I will try and get the shape and send them example and ask them which ones they like, because a lot of times they don't even know what designs. They just know that they want a bouquet. So that's how I would get that style. If it's a party, then they usually have a style. And what I will tell them to do is send me some inspirations. I don't like to just follow, copy someone else's work, but if I've got inspirations, then I know that I can then put something together with their inspiration to incorporate what they like into something that's unique. Because my slogan is to do something bespoke, that's one of a kind, that is for them, and that match their personality. So if I just follow someone else and copies it exactly, then it's not going to really be them, and it's not going to really be me. So we combined what they like into something that's unique for them.
Correct. Also, you had mentioned that you are now you focus primarily on artificial flowers. Is that
Yeah.
correct? And if
Yes.
that is, then why did you choose going down that route?
Okay, I prefer artificial flowers. I mean, I sometimes incorporate dry flowers as well. It's one, because of the waste. Even as a training to be a florist, there was so much waste. So you'll get lots of flowers, do your design, and a few days later, you've got to throw them away. That really grated me, and it's always has, because I've always had artificial flowers in my home. And every time I will have visitors and that, they always will compliment it. But I would, I'd throw it away and think, oh, it's nothing. And it's funny now, I've come full circle and started doing just that. And I find that I will have them for years, and I can just check, jazz them up a bit, or, maybe dust them occasionally, but they will last for years and still look nice, that I will get compliments. So for me, it makes more sense. It's more sustainable. It's more user-friendly. People don't get allergies. People don't react to them. And they look beautiful if you know how to style them, which is why training to be a florist is important, because you need to know how to put them together and make them still look nice, rather than just plonk them together. So that's why I've chose artificial. You can do so much more with them. They're more flexible. You can design them way before the time, and you don't have to do up the night before or 2 nights before. And I just find the creativity you can get from that brings me out, and it makes it more enjoyable for me. And, I can serve my clients better.
No, I think that's a very new perspective for me as well. So I think that's lovely. Please tell me a little bit about some of your success stories. How do you find joy in delivering something that someone has thought about and you've already delivered that to them? So I mean, I believe there's a lot of success stories that could come from there. So,
Yeah. I think the best success stories are actually the ones where I've combined a little bit of management in event management, like a birthday party, where it doesn't need that much management, but it's just literally more on the creative side, but I'm still putting things into place. So I've done a James Bond theme birthday where a couple, where kids, they obviously must have been well-to-do kids, but their kids came, and it was their father's 50th birthday. They had quite a good budget. I think it was like 8,000, and they wanted a casino James Bond theme. So I put it all together, and that was so much fun. So I brought in roulette tables. She wanted the whole works. She wanted the props and everything. So I got the roulette tables and the groupiers, the James Bond stands, and I did a backdrop with the car and the balloons going around it for pictures. Then she had like a whole personalized flooring. She got her own caterers, but she wanted some catering van outside, so I got a pizza van, and she got a bull in, this mechanical bull. The whole thing it was fantastic. It was really good. That was the best success story I've had. Not the biggest, but it was one of the great ones I remember. And another one was for someone came. It was actually for their 90th birthday, and that one came in with where it was a surprise again, and it was pictures, and she wanted it from the start to before they came. So she wanted pictures before they started, came into the venue. It was done in a hotel. The hotel literally pampered them from the start to finish. They just had another success story, and I had to do all the props, the setting of the setup, did a beautiful backdrop, and it was lovely. So all of those I love creating something from nothing into something big. It's great for me.
I believe this is so interesting. Someday I might end up exploring this myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. Great. So, please tell me a little bit about your target audiences, right? And
Yeah.
please also tell me a little bit about what keywords to keep an open ears to, so that if,
Yeah.
let's say, somebody who's watching this podcast, if they hear about that those few keywords, they would think about you and reaching out to you and connecting you with other people, right? Please tell me a little bit about that. Your target audience and the keywords, yeah.
Yeah, the target audience is usually millennials. They're my biggest target audience for usually the weddings and sort of birthdays. So when I mean birthdays, it's more the children's birthdays. So I do a lot of baby showers. They're usually with the millennials. The weddings are usually for millennials. The ones in between, I would say between sort of 30 and 40 is my biggest audience. And they generally have where they've got good careers. Then they either just had babies, so they want a special birthday backdrop for their child, or they're having a baby shower, so they have something special. Or for their weddings, they've just had they've got a good career again, and then they now want to get married. So they usually have a bit more disposable cash. The other target audience will be the ones that are 50 plus, again, who have children, have gone to uni now, and now they've got a bit more money. So they've got a special milestone like 50, 60, usually it's 50, 60, maybe 90, or, all those sorts of things. Or they're having a special anniversary. So it'd probably be your 25-year anniversary, your 20th. So more the older market then. So they're from one extreme to the other. So I ever have my millennials who have the cash because they've got careers and they're just starting their family or getting married, or the older ones where the kids have gone, so they've got more disposable cash. So they're doing, that's usually the target audience there. So they want a special event that wants, and spend a bit of money to celebrate that special event. This SEOs will probably be, again, is probably sustainability, weddings, birthdays, trying to think of other things, artificial flowers, backdrops, balloon arches, floral arches, and what else I would say? Whimsical. People who want something whimsical, dreamlike, who wants to create a dream theme and make it special.
Great, got it. So please also tell me a little bit about how you go about marketing this business, right? Because obviously you've been in this business for a while, so you must be getting a couple of referrals. But beyond referrals, how do you go about growing this business and marketing this business?
Okay, I use mostly, well, B&I obviously, but most of my market actually comes from Hitch. There's a website called Bark. I have a couple of people that I have offshore that helps me to do my blogs, some of my SEOs. So SEOs through the web. So I've now started to get more Google inquiries. That still needs to be built on. But I would say, yeah, listings usually, Bride Book, Hitch mostly, listings on Bark, and just SEOs and blogs and things like that, and word of mouth, definitely word of mouth, yeah, from people who've used me.
Definitely,
Yeah.
cool. So, I believe event overall as an industry is very collaboration based industry, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep
Yes.
on collaborating with a lot of people, right? So
Yeah.
tell me about the kind of collaborations and business relationships that you need to build in this business.
Yeah. My biggest one, I will say, is event planners and wedding planners. So people who are creating events and then need to execute it. So I will be a good match with them. So they've got the business and now they need to actually make it happen. So I can come into that side where I can help to decorate the room and help to coordinate those decorations, or it be actual venues themselves. So the last few months I've been trying to get involved in venues. They can be a bit niche because they usually have their trusted suppliers list that they've had on there for years. But I've managed to get through a couple of them, but I need to build that. So venue owners, and also event planners and wedding planners are my main target that I would like to collaborate with. You know, I don't have to run the event. You know, happy run the event. I will just come in, do my bit and go. And I would love that. Yeah.
Great. This business, I am sure, comes with its own set of challenges, like any other business, right? Please tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about some of the very particular challenges that come with this kind of business, and how you went about or keep going about dealing with these challenges.
Yeah. So stock is a big thing because you'll find that most people's desires are different. So obviously you've got to overcome that by trying to reuse what you have, but in a different way, in a unique way, for everyone's to be unique to themselves. So I do try to keep a lid on stock because ultimately I don't want to just be an event hirer where some people just have a huge warehouse where you are just an event hirer. I like to be a stylist, so I still need to have that uniqueness. And then if I need any other props, I can hire from somewhere else. The other challenge is that every business is generally new. It's not, you know, people generally only get married once. You usually have one baby shower until you have another child, or do you know what I mean? So, and you have one birthday till the following year. So that is a challenge, getting business, constant business all the time. So that is a challenge in itself. So me getting involved with wedding planners, event planners, and venues will help to overcome that challenge. So that's why I'm trying to really work on that. And it's quite hard, but I'm really trying to work on that.
Correct. Also, I am assuming that you are also restricted to a certain location. I am sure beyond that circle or that region, you might not be able to serve. I believe that is also something that would come as a challenge.
It can be a sort of a challenge, but then there will be other people doing similar work in different areas. So I don't need to compete with everybody. So what I tend to do is surrounding counties, because I don't need to just go 5 miles. I can go to various counties, but as long as, so I tend to say roughly about 25 to 50 miles radius, but I've traveled further. It depends on the event. If it's a big wedding, then it doesn't matter if I have to travel well, because it will be paid for. If it's a birthday or a baby shower, then you want it more local. So it depends on the type of event. And then again, if it's a wedding bouquet, so a bridal bouquets, I can actually ship that abroad. So I can actually work overseas. So that will be my next target as well. Doing overseas weddings, that will be good to collaborate with event planners from overseas that want flower, decorations for their bride, floral designs and stuff for their
What would
bridal
be some
part.
of the top priority overseas markets for you?
I would say if, hotel wedding coordinator, any wedding coordinators who brides want specifically certain amount of type of bridal flowers and for their parties, I can work with those and ship them over for them, so that way, because a lot of times overseas they're quite limited to what flowers they have. They may not have the same flowers we have over here, and my flowers, I can make them really realistic, so that's what I get a lot of my good reviews from. So yeah.
Got it. Cool. So why don't you please tell me a little bit about uh, what kind of advice you would give to somebody who's just starting out in this business, right? Or to put it in another words, what advice would you give to yourself when you were starting out? I'm sure that would be quite helpful for others.
Yeah. Right. I will say I spent ages doing a website when I first started. It took me a year just to get that right and work on that because I was working full time and tweaking it, seeing what works. I wouldn't have done that like that. I would have waited, doing a very basic one, and waited till I knew what works and what I wanted to do, because I've tweaked so many times. But you do have to fail moving forward, because you don't really know until you do it. But not to spend as much money and time on a website. The other thing I would say is it's really trying to just get yourself out there on social media to see what clicks for you first, and then develop from there what people are showing interest in, because I didn't think I was just going to do bridal work. I didn't even want to enter the wedding market because I thought, oh, they can be a difficult market sometimes, you know, they can have tantrums, they can have everything. But I've ended up, most of my work comes from weddings because that is where my target audience come mostly from. So you don't know that until it's not to keep waiting, just do it, because that way you can find out what works, what don't work, and be actually not afraid to fail, because I've had to tweak so many times and turn it around. And it's not really failure, because it's not like you give up. You're just trying something, and if it doesn't work, you tweak it and then try another thing, and if that doesn't work, you tweak it. Like I started trying to do event managing, found it took so much of my time and I couldn't do both. So I've ended up tweaking it, and I've changed I've got a second website completely different from the first one, because the other thing I was trying to do was doing a shop and trying to do what I was doing is quite conflicting, because you do the shop, that takes you one way, and then you get another order to do an event, and then you haven't got time to do the shop. So I think it's best you do one thing first and try not to do too many things. And then you find out what works, stick with that for a while before you move on to the other thing.
Got it. So some of the things that I'm collecting is basically, so you were trying to set up a physical shop where you would sell items, pre-made products, right?
No, online. Yeah, but I was selling physical stuff online. Yeah.
Correct. Got it. So rather than, so one insight that I'm picking is it's not necessary. If you have a website in place, you could also start with a Instagram or a social media channel, something of that sort. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that will give you the likes to see what people like. I found that once I started going, I was trying to sell little gifts and flowers, and it's very hard in a noisy market because there's bigger people doing lots of artificial things, and I'm competing with these. And what I found that did work is actually do my bridal work, you know, and then from there I can upsell them for centerpieces, and from there I can do the whole venue. So it was far better to start with my flowers, with the same market I was trying to run away from, and then move on and, you know, and create more, and then, you know, and then the balloons, because I'm a balloon artist as well. So I will get a lot of my baby showers and my baby birthday backdrops from those. So it's trying to see what people like, and social media like Instagram and that gives you that insight.
Right, definitely. So I wouldn't, the next question, I wouldn't put it as talking about your mistakes as such, but some of the failed experiments. I'm sure you keep on experimenting a lot with the designs, with the approach of reaching out to people and everything, right? So some of the failed experiments that maybe people could, avoid making, so that they could save some time, right? So if you could share a couple of those.
Well, one of the expensive ones I did, I joined an online listing called Yell. And it was quite a big contract. And I thought, oh, they're well known, you know, great. But what I found is that I wasn't making my money back. So I would say be very careful of signing yourself up for long-term expensive listings, or anything like if you're doing social media marketing, because there's lots of them saying they can get you all these leads. Some can, but some of them are very expensive. So I will say start small, because if you go into, unless you can get out of the contract very quickly, don't sign yourself up to long-term big agreements thinking that they're going to work, because a lot of times it does take time to get that traction, even for them. So a lot of times they would say it would take you up to 6 months. Now, if you're in a big agreement that costs maybe £1,000, £1,500 a month or something, because you think, I need to market, I need to do this because this is what I've been told, and then you can't get out of it. So I'll say start small, and then you tweak as you go along. so that you have room for improvement, so you have time to move things along. Because you'll find that if you just do a basic website, you're going to probably change it along the way, and then it doesn't cost you a lot. So just get something basic up, but don't use that as a point to not start. Just start with something, throw some ideas out and see what response you get back. And what sticks most, that's what you need to develop. And that's what I would advise. Don't spend too much money on things that is going to trap you and cost you a lot of money every month that you can't get out for 12 months or so. Yeah.
Definitely. That's a very sound advice.
Yeah.
But that also brings me to the question of how your experience has been in BNI, because though I am not very old in BNI, but my experience has been great. So I would really love to know a little bit about your experience as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, BNI, it's been twofold. Like I started last November, and I started with a core group, so it was small, and we're still building. So we only launched February. So my experience with BNI is not probably as great as someone who's been in a well-established group beforehand, because you won't get the referrals that you should do. It's a huge commitment. So you find sometimes that it can be hard on your time, but it's a great way to have people to help you to develop, to help you with referrals, to help you along the way, just to, generate more work for you, and hopefully get ideas from or help. So I think it's very disciplined. So it's definitely helped me to be disciplined. It's definitely helped me to know other ways of how to market myself, and just learning from other people. So, even like having this meeting with this podcast with you, I didn't know exactly what to expect. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really good. So yes, I'm learning every day myself. Yeah.
I am so glad you're liking this.
Yeah.
But my experience, I mean, our chapter is also not all that big, right? It's a very new chapter, maybe 1.5, 2 years old chapter, right? So I am not getting a whole lot of referrals, but I think the learning experience has been great. The support
Yeah.
that I get from other fellow entrepreneurs, I think that is absolutely amazing. So I mean, that is something that I find immensely valuable, and along with that, the BNI Connect thing is just fabulous. That is pretty much the reason why I'm able to speak with you, and that's lovely. So yeah, great. So these were all the questions that I had for you today. Before we wrap up, please, again, if you could share your 60 seconds along with your gives and asks, that will be great.
Okay. So again, then, just this there. I am Claudette Jones from Florals of Splendour, and I belong to BNI Unite, and we're based in Upminster in Essex. I am a sustainable venue stylist, decorator, and coordinator, dedicated to bringing your vision and creative visions alive, making unforgettable experiences. So I create with balloons, artificial flowers mostly, dry flowers, and props. And I will create your dream and vision into reality. I would love any introductions with wedding planners, event planners, or venue owners that I can work alongside and collaborate with. And the reason why I like to do with that is that I think that I can bring value to them as they help me. It will be a great two-way relationship. And my main slogan is that I go above so that my clients can do what they love. Thank you.
Lovely. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of referrals after people who are gonna watch this podcast. Thanks a lot for doing this, Claudette. I really loved speaking with you. I'm sure many people are gonna find lots of insights in this podcast. So thanks for doing this. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having me.